Om Agyanativanandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shigaro Shiyuta Parakamalam Shigarum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vrijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishubhanu Siddhadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patiranam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Questions by the Sages, text number 4. Naimishe Nimasha Kshetre Rishaya Shonakadaya Satram Swargaya Lokaya Sahasra Samam Asata Naimishe Nimisha Kshetre Rishaya Shonakadaya Satram Swargaya Lokaya Sahasra Samam Asata Nimisha Kshetre Rishaya Shonakadaya Shatram Swagaya Lokaya Sahasra Samam Asata Namishe Nimisha Kshetre Rishaya Shonakadaya Satram Swargaya Lokaya Sahasra Samam Asata Naimishe Nimisha Kshetra Rishaya Shonakadaya Satram Swargaya Lokaya Sahasra Samam Asata. Ladies. Naimishe Nimisha Kshetre Rishaya Shonakadaya Adayam Lokaya Sahasra Samam Asata Naimishe, in the forest known as Naimisharanya. Animisha Kshetre, the spot which is especially a favorite of Vishnu, who does not close his eyelids. Rishaya, sages, Shonaka Adaya, headed by the sage Shonaka. Satram, sacrifice. Svargaya, the Lord who is glorified in heaven. Lokaya, and for the devotees who are always in touch with the Lord. Sahasra, 1,000. Samam, years. Asata, performed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Once in a holy place in the forest of Naimisharanya, great sages headed by the sage Sonaka assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord and His devotees. Please repeat. Once in a holy place in the forest of Naimisharanya, great sages headed by the sage Shonaka assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord and His devotees. Purport. The prelude of the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken in the previous 3 slokas. Now the main topic of this great literature is being presented. Srimad Bhagavatam, after its first recitation by Srila Shukadeva Goswami, was repeated for the second time at Naimisharanya. In the Vaya Tantra, it is said that Brahma, the engineer of this particular universe, contemplated a great wheel which could enclose the universe. The hub of this great circle was fixed at a particular place known as Naimisharanya. Similarly, there is another reference to the forest of Naimisharanya in the Varaha Purana, where it is stated that by performance of sacrifice at this place, the strength of demoniac people is curtailed. Thus, Brahmanas prefer Naimisharanya for such sacrificial performances. The devotees of Lord Vishnu offer all kinds of sacrifices for His pleasure. The devotees are always attached to the service of the Lord, whereas fallen souls are attached to the pleasures of material existence. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said that anything performed in the material world for any reason other than for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu causes further bondage for the performer. It is enjoined, therefore, that all acts must be performed sacrificially for the satisfaction of Vishnu and His devotees. This will bring everyone's peace and prosperity. The great sages are always anxious to do good to the people in general. And as such, the sages headed by Shonaka and others assembled at this holy place of Naimisharanya with a program of performing a great and continuous chain of sacrificial ceremonies. Forgetful men do not know the right path for peace and prosperity. However, the sages know it well, and therefore for the good of all men, they are always anxious to perform acts which may bring about peace in the world. They are sincere friends of all living entities, and at the risk of great personal inconvenience, they are always engaged in the service of the Lord for the good of all people. Lord Vishnu is just like a great tree, and all others, including the demigods, men, siddhas, charnas, vidyadharas, and other living entities, are like branches, twigs and leaves of that tree. By pouring water on the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are automatically nourished. Only those branches and leaves which are detached cannot be so satisfied. Detached branches and leaves dry up gradually despite all watering attempts. Similarly, human society, when it's detached from the personality of Godhead, like detached branches and leaves, is not capable of being watered, and when attempting to do so, is simply wasting his energy and resources. The modern materialistic society is detached from its relation to the Supreme Lord, and all its plans which are being made by the atheistic leaders are sure to be baffled at every step. Yet they do not wake up to this. In this age, the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord is the prescribed method for waking up. The ways and means are most scientifically presented by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and intelligent persons may take advantage of his teachings in order to bring about real peace and prosperity. Srimad Bhagavatam is also presented for the same purpose. This will be explained more specifically later in the text. Naimishe nimisha shetre rishya shonakadaya satram swagaya lokaya sahasra samam asata. Once in a holy place in the forest of Naimisharanya, great sages headed by the sage Shonaka assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord and his devotees. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Bacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Satarane Krite Tadayato Vishnu Tretayam Yajato Mukai Dwarpayam Paricharyat Kalotadari Kirtana. That in Krita Yuga, people could meditate in trance upon Krishna. And indeed, as I point out that verse, the progression towards pure consciousness culminates in being able to meditate in trance upon Krishna out of love. So that's perfection. And it proceeds in different ways. Well, through different stages, following the regular principles of religion, acting piously, conquering sinful reactions, accepting devotional service, rising up to pure knowledge of the personality of Godhead, and meditating on trance upon him. Therefore it is said that smarta vyaksaratam Vishnu vismartak jatuna kinchit sarva vidi nisedya syor atiyar eva kinkara. That smarta vyak, to always remember Krishna. Smarta vyak saratam Vishnu vismartak, and never forget him. Sarva vidi nisedya syor, all the regulations, all the things we're supposed to do in the scripture and all the things we're not supposed to do in the scripture, they're all servants of that one rule and regulation. Never, always remember Krishna and never forget him. Just like we put an iron into the fire, then gradually it'll get hotter and hotter and hotter until it becomes just like fire. The more we associate with Krishna in Krishna consciousness, in a favorable way through the process of devotional service, then the more our heart becomes purified, and simultaneously we are able to experience Krishna consciousness, that is, consciousness of Krishna. Just like when there's a lot of fog, then the sun appears to be covered. But actually the sun's not covered, it's our consciousness, our awareness of the sun that's covered. But if the fog dissipates, then the brightness of the sun is perceived again, the natural brightness. So in the same way, when our heart is covered by our material conceptions of life, and the material conceptions of life mean that we forget Krishna. As soon as we accept some material conception, then at once we forget Krishna. Krishna bahirmukha bhogavan chitare nikatasta tare japitiyadare. That as soon as we turn our face away from Krishna, then at once Maya comes and slaps us into material consciousness. Therefore, we can't be surprised that sometimes we forget Krishna. We should be happy that sometimes we remember him. That's generally why we come to class, is because hopefully in class that's what's being talked about. It's Krishna. Now, even if our mind wanders away from Krishna, Krishna advises us in the Bhagavad Gita, Shunar uparamed buddhya drita grihitaya atma samstamana kritva na kinchit api chintaya. Gradually, so the word is gradually, shanai. We don't expect to reach perfection in one day or 1 month, even years. It may take even longer than it. Shanai shamar uparamed, buddhya, by intelligence. So intelligence means that Krishna is giving us direction, what to do to become Krishna conscious. That's called intelligence. When we understand what we're supposed to do to become Krishna conscious, then we can overcome the obstacles, which is usually our own mood and mind and feelings, so that we can go on in spite of however we're feeling within our heart or however our mind is disturbed. We can go on with devotional service, with buddhi, with intelligence. The fog may be there, but that doesn't mean you have to put out your flashlight. So if you're in the fog, it doesn't mean, well, it's foggy, so put out the flashlight. No, if it's foggy, then increase the intensity of the flashlight, and then you'll maybe be able to guide yourself out of the fog. So buddhya drita grihitaya atma samstamana kritva na kinchit api chintaya. Gradually, step by step, with full conviction, one should situate oneself in trance by means of intelligence, sustained with full conviction. So we need intelligence, exactly what to do, but it should be sustained by conviction. Conviction means that I've been through this before, and I'm convinced I should just go on doing what I'm doing in Krishna consciousness and not become deviated. So we may know what to do with our intelligence, but we may not do it because we're not convinced. So we need determination and conviction also. Conviction knows I'm convinced is the right thing to do, and now I'm going to do it. Not that I know the right thing to do. I'm convinced what to do, but I'm not going to do it anyhow. Like Arjuna, he understood, yes, I should fight, and that's the right thing to do. And I'm convinced it's the right thing to do, but I'm not going to do it anyhow because I just don't feel like it. That's where the difference between sincerity and insincerity is. When it's finally revealed to us what we're supposed to do, but then we run away because we don't want to do it. We realize if I do it, then I'm going to give up my false ego. I'm just going to become an insignificant servant. So we think, well, that's not what I came to the Hare Krišna movement for. That's not why I came to the material world for. I came here to be special. Some people choose to be special basketball players. Some people choose to be special singers or politicians. And I choose to be a special spiritualist. Just like in the mode of ignorance, one is overwhelmed by desires to control the material nature, accumulate material riches, or just to eat, sleep, mate, and defend without any restriction. And in mode of passion, we want to enjoy, so we become more sophisticated. We eat, but we eat with a nice rose on the table, and music's playing, and nice food, well cooked. And in the mode of goodness, we become the savior. So in the mode of ignorance, we become the controller. In the mode of passion, we become the enjoyer. In the mode of goodness, we become the savior. That by my instructions, by my example, so many people are becoming elevated. I made so many devotees today, and in the future I'll get more and more followers. Exactly what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said he didn't want, but I wanted. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so renounced that he didn't want followers, but he got so many anyhow. So I'm just following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's footsteps. I need followers too. I have to feel special. That's why I came to the material world. And what could be more special than someone declaring that I'm as good as God? Who could be more special than me? So, these are the obstacles we have for determination, conviction, and intelligence. Therefore, Shanai Shanaru Paramit, and then Yato Nischalati, Manak Chanchalam Astiram, Tatas Tatao Niyamyai Tat, Atmaneva Vishamya. Wherever the mind wanders to, due to its flickering, unsteady nature, one should withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So this is all, the material world, for everyone, is just 99.99% of our existence is just imagination. It's just a dream. When people tell us in the street when we're distributing books, get real, we appreciate that. That's what we're here on the street for, chanting Hare Krishna, to become real. Because our present state is not reality. We're not this body, we're not the controllers. There is a God, and He is actually controlling things, and He's controlling things for everyone's benefit. It's not that He loves me and He hates the demons, or He hates anyone who doesn't love me. No, He loves everyone. And He has different ways of encouraging people to love Him. So here we find the sages of Naimisharanya. They're assembled for 1,000 years. So we can understand this is not Krita Yuga, it's not Sati Yuga. They're not there all meditating. It's not Treta Yuga. Well, apparently it's almost like Treta Yuga. We know it's Dwarpa Yuga. So in Treta Yuga, Yajito Mukai, there's sacrifices. And in Dwarpa Yuga, there was temple worship. So why is it that they've dissembled? Because it's 1,000 years. People don't live for 1,000 years in Kali Yuga. So it's not Kali Yuga. In Treta Yuga, they live for 10,000 years. And in Sati Yuga, they live for 100,000 years. So they're going to have a sacrifice for 1,000 years. So it must be something like Treta Yuga. I'm sorry, it must be like Dwarpa Yuga. So why are they performing sacrifice? Because for one thing, it's in between Dwarpa Yuga and Kali Yuga. So sacrifice, Yajito Mukai, or Yajita, is more or less, you put something into the sacrifice, but the chanting of the mantras is the essence of it. The chanting of the mantras for Lord Vishnu. So basically speaking, the chanting is being introduced here, and it'll turn into, when Shonaka Rishi comes, the chanting of Srimad Bhagavatam, directly hearing about Krishna. Rather than just chanting mantras to Vishnu, they're going to hear about Vishnu in his different incarnations, and ultimately they'll hear exactly more or less, what Shukadeva Goswami was telling Parikshit Maharaj. And therefore the sacrifice didn't last for 1,000 years. Because it only took Shukadeva Goswami 7 days to relate the information to Maharaj Parikshit. So the sages were quite happy that we're going to hear about Krishna. We're going to hear the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, because right now we're doing this sacrifice and we're getting covered with smoke and ashes and things like that. Very unpleasant. So this will be much more pleasant sitting down for 7 days and hearing about Krishna. And what's the benefit? As it mentions here, Yata Turo Mula Nishechinena Tripyanti Tatskanda Bujo Prashaka Pranaharachcha Jitendriyanam Tataiva Sarvahanam Atuteja. Just like if you pour the water on the root of the tree, then it goes to all the leaves and branches. If you pour water, if you provide food to the stomach, then it goes to all the different parts of the body. And if you serve the Supreme Lord Vishnu, then all the demigods and everyone else is satisfied. Just like when Draupadi was in the forest with the Pandavas and Duryodhana wanted to put the Pandavas into difficulty. Because that's the business of the demons, to put the devotees into difficulty. Otherwise, they have no other business. And at that time, Durvasa Muni was his guest. Durvasa Muni, a great mystic yogi, was his guest. And therefore, Duryodhana gave him the advice that I heard that in the forest, Yudhisthira Maharaj has a big feast for the sages every day. So you should go there at such and such time, and he'll give you this sumptuous feast. So Durvasa Muni said, very good. So he went there with his 60,000 followers and showed up after lunch and said, we're all here, we're uninvited guests, but we understand you have a big feast for sages every day, and we're here with our 60,000 sages. So Maharaj Yudhisthira said, oh, very good. You just go to the Ganges and bathe, and when you come back, we'll give you a feast. By Durvasa Muni's blessings, Draupadi had gotten a plate. And as long as she hadn't eaten, then the plate would provide unlimited food. But they came after all the Brahmins who were with Yudhisthira Maharaj had already eaten prasadam. The Pandavas had eaten prasadam, and Draupadi had eaten prasadam. So the plate was not going to give any more prasad. So Yudhisthira Maharaj is trying to figure out what to do. Because after all, even to pick 60,000 leaves would take a long time from the tree. And probably he thought the sages might not like uncooked leaves that didn't even fall out of the tree. Therefore, Draupadi became a little upset what to do. But Krishna, being omniscient, he realized his devotees were in trouble, so he appeared on the spot. And he said to Draupadi, I'm hungry. Give me something to eat. So Draupadi started to cry even more. Now the sages are going to curse us. And now Krishna, I can't even satisfy him. But Krishna said, no, look in the pot. See if there's anything left in the pot. So Draupadi found one little piece of sabji in the pot and gave it to Krishna. Krishna ate it and was completely satisfied. And because he was completely satisfied, the whole universe became satisfied. And especially these Durvasa Muni and the sages in the water, his followers, they all became filled up. All their hunger disappeared. And they wouldn't be able to eat anything whatsoever. So Durvasa Muni thought, now Yudhisthira Maharaj has prepared this sumptuous feast. We're going to go there, and he's going to be very unhappy because we can't eat any of it. So let us run away from this place. So they all disappeared, they ran away, and the Pandavas were saved by the all-omniscient and all-pervasive aspect of Lord Krishna. So, now of course, we probably can't offer our sabjis with the same devotion that Draupadi did. And maybe when we offer something to Krishna, the whole universe doesn't become satisfied. But at least we'll be doing something to benefit the universe. We may only add a drop of water to the tree, but at least it's something. At least we're doing our job. And because we're connected with the tree, Therefore, we'll get the benefit at least, and others will get benefited also. It may not be so great and so noticeable at first, but it is benefit. It's something positive. If we're not part of the solution, then we become part of the problem. So it's better to be part of the solution than the problem, because otherwise our life will become even more problematic. And here it says, we may go on watering the root, but don't expect that everyone's going to be happy. We can't judge that now I've watered the root and the demons aren't happy. They're complaining, why are you using up so much water? It's not ecological. Why are you putting it on the root? Why don't you do something practical, like put it on every leaf and branch? That's the new style. So there's nothing, if one is actually a devotee, there's nothing one can do to satisfy the demons. If one is actually, because the demons, their whole idea is to kill Vishnu, eliminate him. They can't physically kill him, but they want to make sure that no one hears about him, no one understands about him, no one accepts him, no one takes shelter of him, no one becomes serious about him. Therefore, in modern society, everyone is disconnected, practically speaking. They're disconnected mentally because all they're hearing about is the glories of the material energy and nothing about the glories of the person who created the material energy. All they're doing is looking at the paintings, not these paintings, but other paintings, and admiring them, and they couldn't care less about the painter. They just want to be stimulated by whatever painting it is, even however crazy it may be, nonsensical. But the lower modes of nature, anything. A monkey can throw something on a canvas and he'll sell it for 20,000 euros. Because it's so creative, so artistic. And if they found out it was a monkey, they couldn't care less. Then they paid 25,000. And if they see a beautiful painting of Krishna, they also will appreciate that, as long as it looks like a normal painting like this one. Krishna with girls. They think, well, he's a normal boy. He's surrounded by girls. So they'll admire that. Oh, here Krishna with his mother. Somehow or another, Mother Jasoda didn't decide to abort Krishna, so it's all right. They'll appreciate these paintings and not realize that they're making some advancement in spiritual life. Therefore, our job is to somehow or another connect people with Krishna, and therefore they can actually receive some spiritual watering and feel benefited, get a different experience. It's like when people eat prasadam, it's a different experience. They don't know they don't know usually that the different experience is that it's prasadam, and it's our business to tell them it's prasadam for their benefit, why it's different. Otherwise, they just think, well, this tastes really good. I don't know why. It's different. But it's our business to give them prasadam and explain to them what prasadam is, and eventually encourage them to offer their food to Krishna, so it becomes prasadam also. The whole idea is to connect people with the root, with the branch, with the whole tree, and therefore come back to their normal position again. Otherwise, the whole world is just spinning out of control because it's spinning away from Krishna. And the people who are leading it, unfortunately, are asking people to spin quicker out of Krishna. They're not satisfied. The people who are going to hell in a normal way, just slowly walking, they want to provide jet planes for everyone to go to hell. One-way tickets, if they can. But by the Srimad Bhagavatam, as the sages, they wanted to benefit everyone. And ultimately, just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages became enlightened, and they understood what the goal and purpose of life is and how to achieve it. So if we simply present Srimad Bhagavatam, we ourselves will understand what the purpose is, what the goal is, and how to achieve it. And then we can also get the intelligence, the conviction, and the determination to go on in devotional service so that one day we become like the sages of Naimisharanya and we become fully conscious of Krishna too and make our lives perfect and successful. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the lecture. So it says here in the purport that this Naimisharanya forest was like the center of the universe, that Brahma imagined the wheel, and this was like the central axe. So I heard various versions, let's say it like that, that Naimisharanya was on this earth planet that we live right now. Maybe it looked different back then. And I heard versions that it is not on this earth planet being the central of the universe, and this earth planet is not actually the central of the universe. So I want to know which one is it.
From what authorities did you get both versions?
I don't know, in different lectures, when it was Bhagavatam was discussed, so.
Well, you probably should have asked them what they're talking about.
I didn't ask them, so it's too late now.
Well, there's, generally speaking, Prabhupada presented the universe in two different ways. One is the way that generally the Bhagavatam presents it to a more advanced audience who's willing to accept reality. And the other is the politically correct way that doesn't disturb most people's minds because they've taken shelter of the so-called people who are cosmologists or whatever, astronomers. They've taken shelter of these conceptions that they're espousing. But according to the Bhagavatam, we're living in Jambudvip, on Bhumandala. And Bhumandala is right in the middle of the universe. And we're living right in the middle of Bhumandala in Jambudvip. And a little portion of, a part of Bhardvarsha. There's different Varshas, and we're living in Bhardvarsha, in just a portion of Bhardvarsha. And in Bhardvarsha, there's Naimisharanya. So it's pretty close to the center of the universe, because the center of the universe is actually Mount Meru. But we're right next to Mount Meru, so relatively speaking, it's practically there. And maybe it is the center of the universe, because maybe Mount Meru is slightly off the center. You know what Mount Meru is?
I mean, I don't know it because I've never been there, but I've heard of Mount Meru.
Well, we may have been there, but it's been a long time.
Not in this life that I remember.
It's a mountain which is 100,000 yojanas high. 80. So it's made out of gold. Part of it is below this Bhumandala, and part of it, I think, like 1/4 of it is below, and the 3/4 above. Anyhow, it's a big mountain made out of gold, which is, on top it's flat, and on the bottom it curves down and sticks out of Bhumandala. Yeah, so Naimisharanya is the center of the universe.
So wouldn't these people on this planet make us a bit arrogant to think that we are the center of the universe and how important we are and all that?
Yeah, well, they don't make us arrogant. We're already arrogant. We just want to find a reason to be arrogant. According to the people, most people, we're the only living entities in this world. And if there are aliens, they look, they're little green people that look really weird. So I don't know how more arrogant you can be to think that there is no God and we're the gods in this universe. Can you get more arrogant than that?
Probably not. I mean, yes, you can. You can believe that you're the only God in this universe. So
yeah, well, that's if you ask anyone on this planet, who's God, who's the most important person, who's the most important person in this universe, what will they reply? Who does 99.9%?
Usually the person they love the most.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do they love the most?
Maybe their sons, daughters. Everybody does say that they don't love themselves the most because they sacrificed everything for their children. So usually it's that.
And they say like that.
I don't know what they think. I'm not a mind reader, so.
Well, most people love their false ego the most. So even they making a sacrifice, it's only to satisfy their false ego, how much they made a sacrifice. They feel good that they're so great, they're so nice, they're so wonderful. And they want everyone else to recognize how nice and wonderful they are too. So they say like that, I've sacrificed so much for you. So Narada Muni, he went to one hunter and said, my dear hunter, that don't you realize that you're doing so many sinful activities, you're going to go to hell because of you killing these animals? So he said, well, I'm doing it for my family. So, you know that story. So Narada Muni said, yes. Really? He said, well, why don't you go to your wife and ask her to take a portion of your sinful reactions because she loves you, right? Of course she loves me. So he went to his wife and said, you know, my dear wife, I'm killing so many animals for your sake, so I'm going to go to hell, so please take a portion of my sinful reactions. She said, no way. She said, I accept whatever your profit you're making, but you can keep all the sinful reactions for yourself. So then he went to his children and said, my dear children, I'm sacrificing so much for you, and I'm going to occur so many sinful actions because I'm killing animals, I'm stealing, I'm doing so many sinful activities. Can you just accept a little portion of my sinful reactions? So the children said, no way. He said, we accept whatever you're giving us, it's your duty, but we don't accept sinful reactions. That's not your duty, give us sinful reactions. So then he went to his dog and said, my dear dog, I'm working so hard for you, could you please accept a little of my sinful reactions? Then his dog bit him. So then he realized this is a waste of time. I'm wasting my life. So he gave up being sinful, became a mendicant, and became a devotee. Anything else?
I have a follow-up, please. Due to the story that you said, I want to ask, is it the duty of the children to take some of the reactions from their parents? Because technically they say, I did not ask to be born as your son or daughter. So the parents are the ones who wanted the children, not vice versa. So is their duty to also take part of the parents' sinful reaction? Or
yeah, of course, they should chant Hare Krišna. Therefore, purify their parents. In this age, that's how you get free from sinful reactions, by chanting Hare Krišna. So they should try to do that. But if the parents are disconnected, there's nothing you can do. There's no way of stopping their sinful activities or sinful reactions if they're disconnected from Krishna in this age, because all they're doing is accruing sinful reactions. Therefore, we water the root of the tree. We don't water disconnected branches.
Thank you.
Anything else? Hwala Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.